Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you. Hello.
Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Black power.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, today is Monday, November 3rd, 2025. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. We're here at New Light Baptist Church in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This is election eve. Huge elections taking place tomorrow here in Virginia, but also all across the country. Tonight, we'll be chatting with a number of candidates, also hearing from pastors and other activists about how critically important this election is. We'll also be talking to someone about the election in California regarding Prop 50, which will be about balancing the whole gerrymandering fight Republicans launched when they stole 5 seats in Texas. We'll also share with you some of the rally this weekend with former President Barack Obama, Abigail Spanberger, who's running for governor, as well as Jay Jones running for Attorney General, and other candidates that took place Saturday here in Virginia. Lots to talk about. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network, live in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, roll, roll, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Folks, we're here at New Light Baptist Church in Virginia Beach, Virginia. This, of course, is a crucial election taking place in this state, but also a lot of races happening all across the country. Tonight, we'll be chatting with candidates who are running for office, also talking with folks who have been really out here working the ground to try to get as many people out as possible. What is at stake here in Virginia? Democrats control the Virginia Senate. They're trying to maintain control of the Virginia House. If so, Don Scott remains as the first black speaker of the House of Virginia. And if they win the governor's mansion with Abigail Spanberger running against Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears, they will then have the trifecta. Of course, there are more Republican states in the country where they control both chambers of the legislature plus the governor's mansion. And so Democrats, that's their focus in this state, to really be able to move forward a lot of legislation that has been, frankly, vetoed and killed by Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin. And so that's what we're looking at in this state, but also you have gubernatorial races in New Jersey. You also have, of course, Supreme Court retention races taking place in Pennsylvania, mayoral race in Seattle. You have constitutional amendments on the ballot in Texas. You have the Public Service Commission races taking place in Georgia. And so there are all sorts of elections. Plus, in Philadelphia, you got the DA's race with Larry Krasner, and on and on and on. And so do understand this election, considered an off year. Next year is the midterm elections. Does not get as much attention, but these races are just as important. Also, keep in mind, you've got a mayoral race happening in Detroit as well. And so lots of things that are going. We'll be covering a lot of that. Plus the Prop 50 referendum is going to the ballot in California. We're going to have a guest talking about that as well. But first off, I want to talk about what's happening here in Virginia. We'll start off with our panel here. We've got three folks of the cloth joining us right now. We have, first of all, we have Pastor Veronica Coleman. How you doing?
Good evening.
All right, y'all can clap. Y'all can go ahead and clap. It's all good. We got Pastor Cowan. How you doing?
Yes, sir.
All right then. Is it Majed? Eric, how you doing? All right, good. Pastor, I'll start with you. Give me a sense of what you have been hearing from in conversations with congregation, also folks in this community about this election. What have they been talking about? What do they care about? What have they been saying?
Well, one of the things that I'm hearing is that there's a sense of urgency there. People, the climate that we're living in there's a lot of fear out there, a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainties with all the changes, particularly with this upcoming election. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot about is what's next, what's going to happen to me, how I'm going to live if the Medicaid and the SNAP programs and all those things they're in jeopardy. What do we do as a church to be able to move forward regardless of the situation or what happened? So there's a lot of, even the younger folks are coming to me in our ministry and asking us, hey, what's happening with the economy? What's going on? It's all about the government shutdown. So there's a lot of uncertainties within the local ministries and within our congregations that are looking for answers. They're looking for real answers. And I would say this, I said this Sunday, people are hurting for real. This is not a joke. And it's so critical that we vote and we do what we can do, because your vote is your voice and your voice is your power. And we have to make sure that we do our part as a community and come together. And it's also time for the local church to step up as well, to be the church. So those are some of the things that I'm hearing in my congregation, even outside of my congregation. Everywhere I go, they're talking about it, what's going to happen, the election, the importance of it, and what we're going to do next after this particular election is over, after tomorrow.
One of the things that's very important in this area in Virginia Beach definitely is this vote on 10-1.
Yes.
So in Virginia Beach, one of the main issues that's facing is representation of your district for vote. So when we come to the polls on tomorrow, we got to make sure we're voting yes on 10-1 so that we
absolutely
have our voice represented in our community. Another thing that's a big issue with all of the cuts with SNAP and also in healthcare. One of the issues is how are the families going to be able to survive? And then also, how am I going to make sure that healthcare is provided for each one of my family members? I work in the hospital system, so one of the things I've noticed is the number of people going into the hospital, and the number is rising, but you still don't have the capacity to sustain the numbers that are coming in. And finally, in Virginia Beach, it costs too much to live here. Amen. We need some affordable housing. Talk to me, somebody. Very important issue.
Well, first of all, when you talk about 10-1, let's just be real clear. We're talking about the gerrymander battle that started with the racist maps in Texas. Donald Trump told Governor Greg Abbott that he wanted to take out Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and others and he said, get me 5 seats. So Texas kicked it off, a mid-decade redistricting. Then, of course, California said, fine, you do that, we're going to respond. That's why they have Prop 50 taking place tomorrow in California, because they have to go to the voters to actually change that. But same thing happening here in Virginia. And so when you talk about 10-1, that has redrawn the lines to have 10 Democratic members of the House and 1 Republican. Then, of course, we've seen gerrymandering take place in Ohio. We see what's happening right now, where they're trying to do it in Indiana. In Missouri, they of course, took away the seat of Congressman Emanuel Cleaver there. And so we're seeing this take place all across the country. And frankly, blue states are responding by saying, hey, we have to change our maps in accordance with this to fight power with power. And so the question is, will Maryland do it? The leader there said they were not going to change their maps. Illinois is also battling that as well. And so while that is going on, that's representation, obviously, on the congressional level. What we're talking about tomorrow, Pastor Coleman, is what's happening here on the state level. You got these statewide races, of course, the governor, lieutenant governor, you've got the attorney general, all those critically important races. Then, of course, down ballot, you've got state rep races, but you've got state's attorneys, you've got your DAs, you've got sheriffs. And so I'm always trying to explain to people we have to be thinking top to bottom, bottom to top, and not just only focus on the races that get the most attention.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's so important that people remember, and that's the thing that we try to tell our congregants, is that you've got to vote, first of all, in every election, that every election is important, but not just the presidential election, but you've got to realize that the people who are making decisions about your everyday life are the people who are you're voting on for these local elections, people who are making decisions about education funding, making decisions about the districts, making decisions about health care. All of those people are people who are at the state and local level, and it's so important that we teach everyone every election is important, and not just the presidential election.
When we talk about, again, the issues, it's very interesting to me that folk are very quick to complain, very quick to say what they want, but not understanding how these things are all connected. And so how are you walking folks through that? I've said that we've got to have a return to citizen education training. We got to be able to explain to people, this is City Hall 101, County Government 101, School Board 101, State Government 101, because somebody could be complaining to a state rep about an issue that's actually a county issue. You could be complaining to a county official about what's a city issue, and complaining to a member of Congress is about a school district issue. And so do you see that happening? Is that education happening here in Virginia Beach? And if not, should that be happening even once the election is over, so people know that? Because tomorrow, well, I always say tomorrow is the end of one process, the beginning of another. Election is over tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, it's okay, now making sure the folk do what they said they were going to do, whether our person wins or loses.
I want to step in with one quick and kind of say something here. Thank you, sir. Is that the Virginia Beach NAACP, you probably know, we did quite a few town hall meetings to educate people about the 10-to-1 system and why it was important. A lot of folks don't even know what's really happening in Virginia Beach, where they're trying to take us backwards and not move forward. But we refuse to go backwards. You know, the 10-1 system gave us the most diverse city council in the history of the city of Virginia Beach. And the good old boys with the money and all the other stuff and the businesses is trying to hold on to something, even after the community, they did a survey that they paid for. And the survey came back that most of the people wanted the 10-1 system, and you didn't even believe the own survey that you paid for. Mm-hmm. What about the voices of the people? Mm-hmm. They said we want 10-1 with this. And we've been fighting that for I don't know how long, but one of the things that that's happening, that I'm seeing happening there, even with my own kids, I've been educating them. They're 30 and 31 years old. Why is it important about the 10-1, what's happening with 10-1? Why is it important, you know, to vote? A lot of the young folks are saying, hey, my vote don't count, but their voice is powerful, and they don't even know that. So we have to continue to educate them about the power of voting and why we are doing what we're doing. I tell people all the time, if you don't vote, don't complain.
That's right.
And Roland, I would like Roland, I would like to say, like you just said, the voting process really is just the beginning. It's still holding the elected officials' feet to the fire and making sure that they're following up on the promises that they gave to the community. But that also brings about the church being a part of the civic engagement. You got to go to city council meetings. You got to go to the meetings at the state just to make sure that your representation of your voice is heard, on not just on voting day, but on a compelling way by showing up and being present. Because I've noticed that when it's a big issue, and it's just with the City Council of Virginia Beach, when everyone shows up, guess what? That whole council sways. Mm-hmm. Yes. It changes. But if you got an issue and it's only a few people that are showing up, it'll sweep it right up under the rug.
And that's why I was that point, because I cover city government in Fort Worth, cover county government in Austin, Texas, in Dallas, in Houston, same thing in Chicago. And unfortunately, what happens is many of us respond on the defensive. So something happens, then all of a sudden, mass protests, we show up, not realizing that council meeting is happening consistently, and we've got to be there to put pressure on them, and that has to happen. And unfortunately, we are not that focused always on being at those committee hearings where stuff is actually getting done.
And it's so important that we take the charge in helping people to learn how to engage. One of the reasons why people don't do it is they don't know how to do it. And it's so important that the church takes that as part of their responsibility. And of course, we teach people that your vote is your voice. And if you don't vote, that means somebody else is speaking for you. Somebody else is making the decision. Somebody else is deciding what's going to happen. And so you've got to vote so that you can continue to have a voice and then continue to be engaged in the process. And one of the things that I try to connect people with is that God wants us to be good stewards. And a part of being a good steward is caring about our communities, caring about our neighbors. We're supposed to love God and love our neighbor. Well, part of loving your neighbor is making sure your neighbor has what they need, making sure that we connect the issues our issues with education and food insecurity and all of those things. Voting the right way means that I'm doing what's necessary for my neighbor to have what they need.
You mentioned housing.
That's it.
Pastor, you mentioned housing earlier, and affordability is a major issue. Yes. And again, elected folk play a role in that, especially when you talk about giving tax breaks to developers and folks along those lines. Yes. And so how do you see rallying people to really push elected officials on the issue of affordability here in Virginia Beach?
I think one of the big issues is making sure that people understand what that issue of affordability really is. 30% of everyone's income, those that live in Virginia Beach, and that's from ages 18 up to at least 60, they're spending 30% of their income on rent, on mortgage. So 70% is what they're trying to live off of, and some can't make it off of that because of all the rising prices. So when we talk about elected officials being on board, making sure that the tax credits are given to the community that needs it. Because one of the major issues is the tax credits are there, but they never end up in our community. So the key is making sure that we use the land that we have for affordable housing and making sure you have a partnership with government and with the community and with the developer and making sure it's a win-win and not just we come, we build, and we take the money out of your community. So that's one of the major keys that I think is very important. And it's been a big hot button issue for me since I've been here in Virginia Beach because you can see the issue of people not being able to find affordable living. Some people go to the hospital just to get a room to stay for the night. Mm-hmm. Just to stay for the night.
Go ahead.
I want to just say something. I'm in the real estate business as well, and I do real estate all over Hampton Roads and beyond. And when it comes to Virginia Beach, I mean, the housing prices are so different, so much higher than most of the other communities like Suffolk and Portsmouth and some of the other areas. And what we found is that we have to educate our potential homeowners right? Give them resources, give them education of what they really can afford. Because everybody want to live at the beach, but the beach costs. Real talk. I had to tell one young lady, she was doing well, she was making great money. I said, but you ain't got beach money. But we can get you to beach money, right? And get you a place that's just as nice, but you won't be able to be at the ocean front. So it's so important now that we not just only educate people about home ownership, and Virginia Beach definitely need more affordable housing. And I know what's really happening behind the scenes, because we edit every single day on the real estate side of this, is that what's happening now is that it's so important that you have the landowner, the investor, the developer, and the builder. All of them need to come together so that we can start building more housing in the city of Virginia Beach where people can afford to live in this particular city. And I think some of it is intentional. They don't want certain people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right.
Come on, let's get real now. You said there was real talk.
And if I can
they don't want certain people in certain communities.
Yeah. And I want to speak to that, what you just said. The 2040 comprehensive study for Virginia Beach is in place right now. And sitting at that table, that's exactly what was said. Where are we going to put the affordable housing? Because we really don't want affordable housing. But I can say now that some of the government has shifted to say we do need to make sure that opportunity is there. And I want to celebrate our Democratic representatives that's up in the state right now, because they got a bill for churches and nonprofits that have land that they would be able to use it. It went to the governor's desk, but it didn't cross the governor's desk. And that's why we need the right governor in place so that we can make sure we can utilize the resources that we have and to receive the monies so that we can build affordable housing.
You want to weigh in on that, Pastor?
No, I'm good. They covered it. They covered it.
All right, then. Well, we surely appreciate y'all weighing in. What I want to do is, over the weekend on Saturday, of course, there was a huge rally that took place in the state with all the statewide office holders and former President Barack Obama. Jay Jones, who is running for Attorney General, who has been catching a lot of heat over text messages. Some say you got some Democrats who are abandoning him. Well, he actually spoke at the rally and made his case as to why he should be elected the next Attorney General of Virginia. This is what he had to say.
You know, we've been all over this Commonwealth in this campaign, but it always feels good to be at home. Norfolk and Hampton Roads has always been and will always be my home, and I love each and every one of you. My grandparents and parents started here, fighting for civil rights, believing in a brighter future for themselves, their parents, and their grandchildren. And it's something that I believe in too. It's what motivated me to serve as an Assistant Attorney General, what motivated me to run for the House of Delegates to represent this community in 2017, to fight back against the attacks of Donald Trump. And 8 years ago, we had leaders in Virginia united in pushing back against that excess and chaos and overreach. But right now, we've got willing enablers of the president's agenda. Because when Donald Trump illegally fires workers, when he levies tariffs that destroy our regional economies, including the Port of Virginia right over there, when he is cutting funding for education and for law enforcement, other states have sued to protect their values and their interests. And instead, Jason Miyares lets him do whatever he wants. Because when big corporations are jacking up prices and making it hard for every single one of us to live. Because when an abortion ban that Jason Miyares and Glenn Youngkin pushed, that we stopped, by the way, every single time, Jason Miyares has been a willing accomplice to what Donald Trump has been trying to do, and that hurts Virginians. Over 50 times, Jason Miyares has had the chance to sue the president this year to protect Virginia, and he's not stepped up. And that comes at our expense. And I got something to say to that. Virginia deserves better. And there is a reason that Donald Trump has endorsed Jason Miyares in this campaign. He said Jason will never let us down. And what that means is that he'll never let Donald Trump down. But I'm running for Attorney General to put Virginia first. To make sure that we protect our pocketbooks, that we protect our health care access, that we protect a woman's right to an abortion, that we keep our communities safe, get illegal guns off of the street, protect our children. That is what we will do as Attorney General. And folks, I gotta say, the stakes of this race couldn't be higher, and the contrast couldn't be more clear, because we have an opportunity to chart a better course here in Virginia, to make sure that everyone can achieve that brighter future that my parents and my grandparents and that I and each and every one of you continue to fight for every single day. This is our moment, Virginia. And I know it starts right here in Norfolk. So if you're ready to elect a governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, members of the House of Delegates, and Democrats up and down the ballot this year, you will make some noise, because the world is watching. They want to see what we're going to do, and we're going to send a loud, resounding message that we don't take Donald Trump here in Virginia. We take it for us. It's our future. Let's go get it. Thank you, and God bless every single one of you.
On election eve in the state. We'll be right back.
Election night 2025. Black votes matter. Join Roland Martin and an expert panel of guests for the realest and blackest election night coverage in the nation, focused on the issues that matter to you and our community. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, Tuesday night, November 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern for the latest updates and election results from critical races around the country. Black Star Network, the voice of Black America. Black-centered.
Josh Cole became a pastor and delegate to serve his community. That's why Josh is fighting to lower costs for families hurting from inflation and make sure we can all afford quality health care. But Sean Steinway has embraced his MAGA backers who support Trump's mass firing of federal workers and the MAGA plan to ban abortion with no exceptions. We deserve better than Sean Steinway.
I'm Josh Cole, candidate for delegate, and I sponsored this ad.
I'm Russell L. Honoré, Lieutenant General, United States Army, retired, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to New Light Baptist Church in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We're here, our voices, our votes, partnering with the Virginia Legislative Black Caucus, talking about, again, how critically important this election is. And so, as I said earlier, there's a lot of attention that's always focused on the top of the ticket races. That gets most the attention, most of the money. But when you go down ballot, we always tell you all those things matter, especially when we talk about school board races. And so a lot of people say that they care about education. They said it's important. But guess what happens? In a lot of these school board races, the turnout is extremely low because folks simply don't vote in them. And then, of course, they then complain about what's happening in the schools. Joining me right now is Dr. Alveda Green. She is running for Virginia Beach School Board. How you doing?
Good evening, and I am already an elected official to the Virginia Beach School Board.
But you're still running.
Was my year, always running.
So I made the point there in terms of how often people just overlook school boards, but then we complain about what's happening with education. And so give folks a sense of what you've accomplished on the board and why you should be elected to go back.
Well, as everyone knows, that public education is very much under attack. One of the most important roles of a school board is policy making. And I have experienced this last year here in Virginia Beach, major changes to our policies that will have significant impact on our students. Unfortunately, we are, with some of our board members, mirroring what's happening at the national level. Back in the spring, there was a vote to remove diversity, equity, and inclusion from Virginia Beach Public Schools. I voted to keep diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's very important that we maintain programs that support all of our students, especially our marginalized groups of students. So if people don't believe that it is important to vote in all elections, look at what your local school boards are dealing with during this difficult time.
Well, we saw this after the 2020 election where you had a number of Monster Liberty folks who ran all across the country, especially in the South. And what did? They took over school boards, they started firing black superintendents and others, started banning books, changing curriculum, and then people said, oh my God, why is this happening? Well, because a lot of those places where you had majority African Americans, they did not vote the way they should have voted, and that's how folk were able to take those boards over.
And that is absolutely correct. And I think if our communities truly understand the important role of school boards, education is knowledge. And one of the things that we are seeing everywhere throughout the United States and here in the Commonwealth as well, people are trying to block knowledge. And when you start removing programs such as that support students, funding is very important. Look what's happening now at the Department of Education. They have dissolved several offices to the point that at the local level, we're very much concerned about funding. So I say all of that to say that it is extremely important that we work very closely with our state delegates as well as our top-of-the-ticket candidates to ensure that they all are pro-public education, because they will help save the funding. They will ensure that our constituents and our students have what they need to be academically successful, regardless of who you are. It's not about what you have, but we are trying to make sure that every student is an independent citizen and can take care of him or herself. And they will not have to rely on programs that we are now seeing being eroded away because someone has decided that those funds need to be diverted to other causes that will not benefit our students in public education.
But it's also not just education, it also comes down to money. How large is the Virginia Beach School Board budget?
Our budget is extremely large, and we have a good tax base that helps us fund a great education. I'm going to be biased and say we are a premier school division with top ratings, with many things, but we are feeling the pain as well from Washington, D.C. And so even the school divisions that have a budget where we have a good tax base for funding our public education, we're going to have some tough decisions to make as we start our new budget process in January.
See, the reason I raised the budget question, again, we don't think about this here, but when you talk about school boards, you talk about contracts. You talk about who are receiving those contracts. You're talking about food contracts, vendor contracts. Also, when you start having bond elections, you're also talking about money there. And so again, people can't overlook the reality that if you don't vote in the election, you don't put the folks in place, then you won't be able to have folks who understand how that money is being dispersed, especially to black businesses.
That is correct. And when you look at your voting power, look at and see what platforms your candidates have on public education. That is extremely important. Where do they stand on the issues? Where do they stand on what funding public education? Where do they stand on who receives contracts for vendors, as you just referenced, and other things, staffing, curriculum? That is not just a school board issue. That is an issue for the entire community, as well as for anyone who is running for office.
If reelected, what do you want to get accomplished? What are your top 3 priorities?
One, I would like to see, first of all, diversity, equity, and inclusion return to Virginia Beach Public Schools. The second priority would be teacher pay, making sure that our teachers receive a decent salary so that they can afford to live in Virginia Beach, the city of Virginia Beach. And my last priority, which is related to anything that I do as a member of the school board, is to ensure that every student knows that he or she is valued and respected and will be academically successful and leave Virginia Beach Public Schools prepared either to continue their education or enter the workforce.
All right then. Well, Dr. Green, we appreciate you joining us. Good luck on Election Day tomorrow.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right. Before we go to break, as I said, Saturday, a rally took place in Norfolk. Here is the gubernatorial candidate for Democrats, Abigail Spanberger.
Back in 2014, we were living on the West Coast, stationed there with my job at CIA after spending time overseas. And we were getting ready to bid on our next post. And with CIA, you can go anywhere in the world. And so we said to our oldest daughter, we have 3 beautiful, amazing daughters, and we said to our oldest daughter, who was in kindergarten at the time, where do you think we should go? We pulled out a globe. We said, what do you think? Kenya, England, where should we go? We can go anywhere. Where should we bid? And she said, Virginia. And we said, no. No, with Mommy's job, we can't go back to Virginia. And she said, well, why wouldn't we go to Virginia? Everyone we love lives in Virginia. And so we decided to pivot from a path of service to country to service to community, because she was right. Everyone we love lives in Virginia. And now there are so many more people we love across Virginia. We came back home and we invested in the community that had made my husband and I who we are. I volunteered with Moms Demand Action. I started a Girl Scout troop. And then in 2017, I decided to run for Congress. And I'll be honest, and many of you were there, back then they told me it was a crazy endeavor. No Democrat had won the 7th district in 50 years. And my predecessor had won his race by 15 points just 2 years prior. But I saw what Donald Trump was doing with his executive power and how he was pitting neighbor against neighbor. And I saw my member of Congress over and over again vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And I knew I had to do something. So spoiler, I won. And then I won again. And then again. And while I was serving in Congress, I worked with anybody and everybody to deliver results for the people of my district. I worked to lower drug costs and the price of insulin, to combat the fentanyl crisis, to support our nation's veterans, and to finally get more than 50,000 Virginia public servants, retired teachers, firefighters, police officers, and federal employees the Social Security benefits they had been denied.
All right, folks, again, that was Abigail Spanberger, and just so we had her on the show, and just so folks know, we heard from her campaign. We never heard from Winsome Sears' campaign to come on the show, so just letting y'all know. Just letting y'all know. All right, gonna go to a break. We come back. Military voters are gonna be huge in the election. We'll talk about that next right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network live here in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Our vote, our voices. Back in a moment.
Election night 2025. Black votes matter. Join Roland Martin and an expert panel of guests for the realest and blackest election night coverage in the nation, focused on the issues that matter to you and our community. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, Tuesday night, November 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern for the latest updates and election results from critical races around the country. Black Star Network, the voice of Black America. Black-centered.
Nicole Cole knows the cornerstone of a successful life starts here. Virginia Public Schools gave Nicole an excellent education. They helped her become a small business owner, family financial planner, mother, and community leader. Now, after 4 years on the Spotsylvania School Board, Nicole is running for delegate to meet the needs of all students. As our delegate, Nicole will fully fund our schools, raise teacher salaries, and help graduating students stay in our communities. Nicole Cole for delegate. For us, for our future.
In the military, I gave orders, and they went a lot further than they do around here. If there's one thing I've learned as a mom and foster parent of more kids than I can count, investing in their future isn't a choice. In Richmond, I'll fight for Stafford's fair share for our schools. Smaller class sizes, better teacher pay, and more vocational training.
I'm Stacey Carroll, and I'll fight to get our kids' future in order.
Said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal, erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
Melanie Campbell, National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable. And we are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered all day, every day, 24/7. Spread the word.
All right, folks, welcome back to New Light Baptist Church in Virginia Beach. Glad to be here. In this part of the state, military voters, huge block of voters, and so the issues that they care about often put at the forefront of many of these races. So let's talk about it with our panel here. On the far left over there, Sean Montero. He is the chair of the Democratic Party of Virginia Beach. We have Susan Hippen, who is the chair of the Military Caucus of the party, and we have a retired sailor, Ken Sutton. Give it up for him, y'all. What have you been hearing from candidates? Are they addressing the issues that matter to veterans? What are you hearing?
Yes, we are hearing it. One of the things that came up during the last session
was that we've got a program in Virginia called VSM DEP, and that allows students going to college of 100% disabled or surviving children to go to school and not have to pay tuition. Well, what happened was the governor said, oh yeah, we want that program, but he didn't fund it. See, your principles are based on what you pay money for, and he did not. Virginia has the 5th largest concentration of veterans in the nation. And they want us here. They want to tax our retirement. They want to tax whatever we can, but they don't want to give back. And that was one of the things. Fortunately, some of the delegates here in the local area in Norfolk and in Virginia Beach went to bat for that. And they got funding for it, but not the funding that we need.
Well, that sucks to say you want it, then you don't fund it. That's always awful. Ken, what about you?
I would like to say that our Virginia delegates are doing everything they can to help veterans. A couple of them are veterans. I'm looking at one right there, Michael Fagans. But also, it's just like my dad telling me, well, listen, you can take the car out Saturday night, Ken, but there's no gas in the car, Dad. I guess you can't go out Saturday night. And
unless you got some money.
Unless you got some money. But you speak with forked tongue when you say one thing and don't put any money in my pocket. And without money in my pocket, I can't work, I can't eat. And for veterans, I've done some long stretches, I've been shot at, you know, and we've paid our dues. So how about treating us with a little bit more respect? That's all I ask, is a little more respect. And and even though this is a state elections right now, I want the VA, the Veterans Administration, not Virginia. I want the Veterans Administration to step up their game so I don't have to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get an appointment.
Oh, that's not gonna... Well, Trump done screwed that up, so that ain't...
We won't even, okay.
No, but that's the issue. I mean, they've decimated the Department of Veteran Affairs. They've laid off thousands of people, and they want to fire more folks.
Well, the biggest thing about that is...
But he loves the military.
Yeah, right. My thing is about the current president is that he does not do anything he says he's going to do. He lies about what he does do.
He lie about lies.
I'm sorry.
He will lie about a lie.
He will. The one thing that we know about the current administration is that they go ahead and attack their weakest citizens. The military, the retirees, people who can't really fight back. But when it comes to taking on the people of moneyed interests, oh, they're in bed with them. Give us that money. Send that money to the Veterans Administration. Send it to the schools, please.
Well, you gotta give him a gift of a gold crown for that to happen.
No.
Sean, what should be, after the election tomorrow, what should be the agenda or the top issues for veterans with the next legislative session?
Well, first off, I like what they've done with the tax cuts. In terms of veterans get some preferential treatment on the taxes. A portion of our taxable income is not touched. And what they did is the group that's sitting here right now expanded that to all veterans that retired, no matter whatever age, because it's smart business. Think about this. We have young people who are getting out in their early to mid 40s that have plenty of working life behind them. They have children that and wives or husbands and spouses and whatnot that can go ahead and contribute to this economy, and they're keeping the flood of people running out of here. The other thing I'd like to just very quickly mention is we have at least one member of a task force dealing with the federal workforce, Michael Fagans. And the onslaught that's been going on with Trump and his Doge team, and making sure, because remember, about 30% of that federal workforce is veterans like me. I am one of those people, and I have lived under the threat of losing my job that I work very hard at because I want to continue to serve my country. And doing that, remember, veterans do this at the detriment of what their actual earning power is. Think about that. But we do it because we believe in this country, we believe in service and everything else like that, and having that option for us to go ahead and be able to rely on support systems like the federal or workforce task force and other things, just things that need to continue to happen going forward.
One of the things that is interested me, when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, a lot of those programs actually include vets. So why have a lot of veterans been so quiet with the DEI attacks when the programs actually include them?
I think a lot of veterans are still gun shy to speak out because when you're in the military, you do speak out, but you speak out through a tier of people. And when you get out, you have to realize that you have a voice. And that was
it's
one
called
of the things
retired.
That's one of the things I realized when I got out. I got a voice, and it is loud and it is rowdy. And I am not afraid to tell someone when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Fortunately, we've got delegates. Michael Fagas has been mentioned, Alex Askew, Phil Hernandez in Norfolk, all of them. We've got Sia Price here, who is making sure that our districts are set up correctly so that when kids go to school, they've got what they need. And that's a big thing that folks don't understand. But yes, we do need to speak up. We need to understand, by the way, the Republican Party needs to understand they don't own veterans. They do not own us. No church owns us, no party owns us, okay? Veterans are a multifaceted group of people, and they need to understand that our needs are different. And that veterans also get food stamps. When I lived in California as an E6, I was on food stamps, okay? When folks now in Virginia Beach, I don't know how they afford on military pay to live in some of the places. They claim, oh, we're gonna do market rate when they do rents. They base it on E5 housing allowance. That is not good for the young sailors that are on the ship.
For the people out there who ain't got no clue about the military, what is E5, E6? There's people out there going like, I don't know what she talking about. So, again, y'all can't be using military phrases for folk who don't know nothing about the military. So, what is E5? What is E6?
I'm sorry, okay. E5, so the pay grades go
Some of y'all was saying the same thing. Y'all like, Y'all were just agreeing, you know what she was talking about.
The enlisted pay grades go from E1 to E9. I retired as an E9. The officer pay grades go from 01 to 09. 010. There you go. That's the officer in the group. Okay. And the pay, of course, increases.
So the E is for enlisted?
E is for enlisted.
O for officer.
Yes. O for officers. E is for
y'all
everything,
gotta explain
does
this
everything.
stuff.
O
Folk
is for
don't know.
we hang around.
Okay, got it. All right.
So an E5 is going to make approximately $1,700, $1,800 to pay for a place. But that's not just the rent. That they've got to have gas, lights, water, trash,
utilities.
the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
So that's the thing. And that's what we don't see in the local officials, which is why, like you said, the local officials have to be picked very, very carefully.
So if that's the case, and you said that so when you said food stamps, that's SNAP benefits.
Correct.
So again, this is one of the things that I'm not understanding. So when you're having this battle right now, when Republicans are trying to cut SNAP benefits or want to pare them down, I don't understand why I don't see vets mobilizing to say, don't. if they're actually receiving them.
We do. And just like when they opened up a clinic here in Chesapeake, the Battlefield Clinic, and they claimed that they were opening it up like a restaurant. That's what the Secretary of VA said. We're opening it up like a restaurant. Well, radiology still is not open. Now, if I go to a restaurant and I sit down and they say, well, what would you like to start off with? I'd like to start off with a margarita. Oh, but the bar is not open yet. Come on. You know, that's stupid.
We ain't got that. Next.
They ain't stupid. You know, that makes no sense. So my doctor sees me.
Give me a Hennessy Coke. We ain't got that.
Yeah, we ain't got that. We ain't opened that part up yet.
Got some red wine? We ain't got that.
But that's the way they open in clinics. So it's not just about, you know, it goes all the way. Military children are in our schools, and these military children deserve the education that everyone else is getting, no matter what. We have got a huge population of military children here. So there's so much that the military covers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a veteran, I'm a retiree. I've got 2 nephews here. One's a retiree from the Navy. One is an Air Force veteran. You could tell when I was on cruise, right, who joined when. And they are dealing with the same things. It's a huge population here.
Sean, go ahead. You were trying to jump in.
I'd like
Sean
to
King,
say,
go ahead.
I'd like to say something about the reluctance of veterans to speak out and join up. I'm a little older than everybody else on the stage.
No.
It's hard.
Really?
And, you know, I was in Vietnam. I did 2 tours in Vietnam, so I'm 75. My group of veterans, they don't talk. Most of them went past their VA stuff because they didn't think they needed it. I didn't get my VA benefits until about 5 years ago. And I'm just saying.
When are you supposed to get them?
Oh, about when you retire.
So when did you retire?
1990. There was a little gap.
And you didn't get them until 5 years ago?
I got them, well, I didn't get.
That ain't little. That's a 30-year gap.
But this is what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm alive. I don't have to go to the hospital. I'm not in a room somewhere. I'm good. So I'm just going to go on with my life. And that's what veterans do. They get and go along with their life. I was a school teacher. I've done different things in my community. Veterans are in every part, every aspect of our community life, but they don't say nothing.
Well, see, but that's my whole point there, Sean, because...
He's Sean, I'm Ken.
I'm sorry, I know that. Okay, Ken, let me explain to you how television works.
This is Roland's show, Ken. This is Roland's show.
We got you, Sean.
See, Ken, let me explain to you how TV works. So when you finish making a comment, it's called a segue. It's called a toss to the next guest. So when you finish talking, I say the name of the next person where I'm signifying they're going to speak next. So if you allow me to be a veteran at this, which I've done since I was 14, and I'll be 57 in 2 weeks, so that means I kind of know what I'm doing, Ken. So let me toss to Sean.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Sean.
I think this is still the Roland Martin show, so we're going to go ahead and keep it.
Right. You don't see it right here, there on my shirt. Ken. All right. The reason I raise that point is because the reality is in this country, supposedly, especially with these politicians, they hold, oh my God, veterans, our military, our veterans. They say all of that until it's actually time to fund stuff. And the public does the exact same thing. So the reality is veterans have cachet if it's used. And I just believe that if more veterans speak up and speak out of, against what is happening, people may be listening differently. And so more need to be speaking up when it comes to what is happening in this country. Go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you think about it, to become, somebody who is able to go ahead and raise arms against your enemies and do things that we as normal human beings are not necessarily used to, it requires some conditioning, right? So we do that through military training, we do that through our basic training and so on and so forth. And that's pounded into us year over year that you're part of that. So you now become part of a collective. Part of that collective is apolitical. And then you all probably seen it. There are some that feel empowered through what they consider patriotism to speak out in ways because they think that they got there by themselves. They think they brought themselves up, through the ranks by themselves and achieved whatever they achieved by themselves when they don't realize that it was their mom and dad, it was a teacher, it was somebody who had been an unspoken mentor, a village that brought them up there. It was then their NCOs and senior NCOs. So that's senior non-commissioned officers like Susan over here, or it could have been their commanders and so on and so forth. And I think some of that is a little bit of education, and it's a little bit of this myth of rugged American individualism, and realizing that yes, we went ahead and were conditioned to love our country so much that we're willing to go take up arms, that we're willing to go ahead and expose ourselves to dangerous things, but that, much like a parent, much like a family member or someone who believes in tough love of your family, it's all right. It's all right to go and say that our union that is trying to become more perfect is not perfect right now.
Right.
And we're trying to go ahead and make it perfect. So Ken's right, Susan's right, that when you're done, man, like 25 years I went through it, man. And I was ready to go ahead and, kind of chill out and be good, just like live with my family and do the things. But, when we see stuff that's going on right now with our federal government, when we see babies ripped out of their doggone beds by ICE and zip tied out there, when we go ahead and see a president of the United States talk about to 800 of the highest ranking officers in our military that certain cities are war zones and that they should be military training grounds, we need to stand the heck up.
Oh, he just said last week he can see in the Navy. He literally said, I can do whatever I want.
I think I heard that one before, and no, he can't. No, he can't.
No, he cannot. He just moved a battle group down. He's moving a battle group, a Navy battle group, down to South America. And it's like, you don't even know who these people are in these boats. You don't know if they are running drugs. You don't know if they're just out fishing for their family, and you're blowing them away. That's wrong. That's wrong. And no, he can't do that. He is not above the law, and he is breaking the law.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I'm just going to say, Roland, and to everyone out in the crowd and out in TV land, that, right now we cannot become comfortable with this because right now we're frogs. We are frogs that are in that water, and that water's warm, and it's going to keep on warming up, right? Until we realize that it's a pot. Well, you know what? This frog's about to jump, and we all need to be jumping.
All right, then. Well said. Let's thank our panel. We appreciate their thoughts, their perspective. Coming up next, can I go to break, Ken? Can I go to break?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Had to get checked with you first. Coming up next, we'll talk about Prop 50 in California that could add upwards of 5 seats to Democrats in the column as a response to Republican racist gerrymander in Texas. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network, live from Virginia Beach. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars make it possible for us to do the work that we do, travel all around the country, covering the stories no one else matters, because here we center African Americans and all that we do. You want to support us via Cash App. Use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. Bottom left-hand corner. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037. That's 0196. Say, Ken, say we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Election Night 2025, Black Votes Matter. Join Roland Martin and an expert panel of guests for the realest and blackest election night coverage in the nation, focused on the issues that matter to you and our community. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, Tuesday night, November 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern for the latest updates and election results from critical races around the country. Black Star Network, the voice of Black America. Black-centered.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
Michael McMillan, President and CEO of the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to Virginia Beach. We're talking about what's happening here in Virginia, but of course we also have what's happening in California. One of the elections, Prop 50, that will change the maps in California. That's a response to what took place in Texas, where Republicans there put forth a racist gerrymandered map that wiped out 5 Democratic seats, including getting rid of 2 black congressional seats. And so we're seeing that take place all across the country. And so when California Governor Gavin Newsom said he was going to respond, Republicans got all upset. And it was real simple. If you didn't do what you did in Texas, you wouldn't see what you were doing in California. Assemblywoman Tina McKenna joins us right now. Tina, how you doing?
Roland, thank you so
Tina,
much
can you hear me?
for having me this evening. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Now, yep, I got you. Thank you so very much. Again, as I said, what's happening in California is a direct result of the racist gerrymander that took place in Texas. If Texas doesn't do what they do, California doesn't do what they do. And so when I hear these Republicans in California complaining, it's amazing how quiet they were when they were making the move in Texas.
Well, absolutely, they were quiet, and I love my governor because he just doesn't mess around. Once they passed those seats to draw those seats in Texas, we in California decided, okay, you have 5, we're gonna put 5 on it. We have enough Democrats to pick up 5 more seats. We still have to fight for them. And the state legislators, we voted, we did 3 votes we passed 3 bills to make sure we put this on the ballot. But we didn't just gerrymander and just take over. We went back to our voters and we asked them, can the legislators redraw the maps? And that's what's on the ballot tomorrow.
And so right now, what is the current makeup of Democrats and Republicans in the California legislature? And after this, if it passes, what will it be?
Right now, there's 9 Republican seats in California. And once we win Prop 50, and then after the 2026 election and we kick their asses, they'll only have 4.
Folks, first of all, now we're here in the Church of Virginia Beach, but y'all calm down. I need y'all, first of all, y'all calm down. The word she used is in the Bible. Y'all need to calm down. Bishop William Barber said, as is repeated in the Bible. So don't act like it's not.
sorry.
Some of y'all were cussing in the parking lot coming in. So don't be trying to act all holy all of a sudden now. And so what you have now, Tina, is an arms race. And so at the end of the day, it would be idiotic for Democrats, where they have the power, not to respond. And I think one of the issues that I've long said that Democrats do, which I think is screwed up, they play by a set of rules that the other side does not play by. Republicans are about power. They're going to wield power. They're going to maximize power. Democrats too often about what's fair and what's just and how can we all get along. And my whole deal is, forget that. You're going to have power. You use it when you got it.
And so, you know, this is true. The Democrats, we come in, I'm in the third year of office in the state assembly. We come in and we do try to be fair and just. And I grew up with politicians having decorum. Well, that's thrown out of the window now. Now I'm ready to fight. I will not bring a knife to a gunfight. And that's why here in California, we've decided we will redistrict those 5 seats. But we did go back to our voters because they would insist on that. But that we will redistrict these seats and we will fight Trump with everything that we have. And this is the way we do it in California, by voting yes on Prop 50 to make sure that we could pick up those 5 seats and come at them and snatch that power from them. Because right now they have the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate. They have the presidency and the Supreme Court. There's no guardrails on this dude. And we need to make sure that in 2026, we grab the Congress back and want to grab the U.S. Senate back as well, because we have to stop him from decimating our country.
And look, there's a callous decision that we're waiting from the Supreme Court based upon the questions that they were asking on October 15th. They could very well say you can't use race in the creation of districts. That could wipe out minimum 12 Congressional Black Caucus seats. It could be as high as 19 or even 30. And so that ruling could decimate Black elected officials, not just in Congress, but then you got to say that then comes all the way down to on the state level, county, city, school board level. And so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a party that, as I keep saying, they want to defund Black America. They're attacking our economic infrastructure, education infrastructure, nonprofit infrastructure. They're going after our social justice, civil rights organizations. And they also are attacking the political infrastructure because they want to cripple Black America and destroy all the gains that have been achieved over the last 60 years.
And this is important, and it's extremely important, and I thank you for raising this and keeping our community educated, because we as Black people, we have to wake up, Black people. They are trying to erase us. They want to erase our history. They want to erase the gains that we have made. They don't want us to have the jobs anymore. They're trying to get rid of us. And so we must stand up and fight. I need everybody out there in this audience to pay attention. Make sure that you're reading, that you're listening, and that you're not just listening to fake news as well, because they're also trying to fool us. Make sure that you cast your vote in these elections. It's very important for us to be represented. And they are going to try to redistrict us out of our seats. So we have to look at, as we come up to 2028 and we start to get ready for the census, fill your census out. This is not just one movement. We see now that a bulk of this country is very racist and they want to get rid of us. So we have to be proactive and make sure that when the census come up, we fill out our census so they know that we're here, because that helps us get representation. When they get ready to redistrict again, we want to make sure that our votes are counted, that our census numbers are counted. This is the way we keep representation. And so we have to pay attention, we have to fight, we have to vote. We cannot sit on the sidelines on this one, because all the gains that we've made, they want to push it back. We can see this is still a racist country. Sorry, this is not what we saw when we watched The Cosby Show. This is real. This is a really racist country, and we have to make sure that we're there at the table fighting.
All right. Assemblywoman Tina McKenna, we certainly appreciate you joining us right now, and we look forward to folks passing Prop 50 tomorrow in California.
Thank you, and pray for us. We're going to pass this, and we're going to push this through the country, because once goes California, so goes the rest of the country. Thank you, Roland. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. We're going to go to our Black Star Network studios. Brittany Noble has our headlines. Brittany?
Well, Roland, America's got a severe identity crisis. A new political poll shows nearly half of Americans, well, they think our best days are behind us, and only 4 in 10 believe the future looks bright. And here's what's wild. 2/3 of Americans say the government often lies to the people. That's not just one side talking either. Both Trump and Harris voters all agree. The poll paints a picture of a country that feels lost and uncertain. A lot of Democrats say the American dream is dead, while many Republicans still see hope ahead. At the end of the day, people are asking the same question. What does the American dream even mean anymore, and who's it really for in 2025? In Ohio, the state's Redistricting Commission has approved a bipartisan congressional redistricting plan that will last for 6 years, giving Republicans an advantage in 12 out of Ohio's 15 U.S. House districts. The plan, which is set to take effect next year, was passed unanimously by the 7-member commission after a last-minute agreement between Republican and Democratic legislative leaders. This deal was made to prevent GOP lawmakers from having the opportunity next month to pass a more heavily favored map on their own. If the Republicans had proceeded with a unilateral plan, Democrats had indicated they would likely pursue a referendum to repeal it in the 2026 ballot, which raised concerns for both parties. The new congressional map will be in effect from the upcoming midterm elections until 2031. A federal judge ruled that the Trump administration's requirement for documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote is unconstitutional. The ruling blocks President Trump's executive order, which sought to enforce stricter voter verification measures and increase federal-state cooperation on election oversight. Judge Colleen Collar-Cotelli in Washington, D.C., sided with Democratic officials, declaring Trump's order an unconstitutional violation of the separation of powers. The judge said that Trump lacks the authority to impose such changes. Those powers rest with Congress and the states. Well, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald the Con Trump is once again with a new threat of U.S. military action, this time in Nigeria. He's accusing the country of targeting Christians and says he'll cut off all U.S. aid and send troops in, quote, guns a-blazing. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is backing him up, saying the Pentagon's preparing for possible action. But Nigerian officials are pushing back hard, saying there's no genocide against Christians and that the violence in the country impacts everyone, including Muslims and other civilians. Well, experts say Trump's framing oversimplifies a complex crisis. Groups like Boko Haram have been terrorizing communities of faith for years. And what's really needed is peace building, not more military threats. Well, Orange County, Florida, Mayor Jerry Demings has officially entered the race for governor. Demings, a former sheriff and police chief, is making history as he seeks to become Florida's first black governor. He joins a crowded field, hoping to succeed term-limited Governor Ron DeSantis. Demings leads one of the last remaining Democratic strongholds in a state shifting to the Republican side with recent wins in Orange County. His campaign faces tough competition. For the Democrats, the front-runner for the nomination appears to be David Jolly, a former Republican member of Congress from 2014 to 2017. On the GOP side, Trump-endorsed U.S. Representative Byron Donalds is among the front-runners, along with former House Speaker Paul Renner. Demings was the first African-American to serve as Orlando's police chief in 1998 and later served as the first African-American sheriff of Orange County from 2008 until 2018. That year, he was elected the first African-American mayor of Orange County, and he won a second term back in 2022. Howard University has received one of the largest donations in its history. Philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is giving the school $80 million. And get this, it's unrestricted, meaning Howard can use it wherever it's needed most. Approximately $63 million is allocated directly to the university, and an additional $17 million is earmarked for the College of Medicine, supporting the training of black doctors and the upgrade of facilities. Well, this latest gift brings Scott's total support for for Howard up to $132 million, funding everything from student aid and new infrastructure to keeping operations steady during the ongoing government shutdown. With this donation, Scott not only showcases her commitment to investing in historically underserved communities, but also increases her total contribution to HBCUs to $381 million in the last few months. Since September 2025, Scott has given $70 million to the United Negro College Fund, $42 million to my alma mater, Alcorn State University, $63 million to Morgan State University, and $50 million to Virginia State University, $38 million to Alabama State University, and $38 million to Spelman College. We will have much more news after the break. Stay with us. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Nicole Cole knows the cornerstone of a successful life starts here. Virginia Public Schools gave Nicole an excellent education. They helped her become a small business owner, family financial planner, mother, and community leader. Now, after 4 years on the Spotsylvania School Board, Nicole is running for delegate to meet the needs of all students. As our delegate, Nicole will fully fund our schools, raise teacher salaries, and help graduating students stay in our communities. Nicole Cole for delegate. For us, for our future.
Election night 2025, Black Votes Matter. Join Roland Martin and an expert panel of guests for the realest and blackest election night coverage in the nation, focused on the issues that matter to you and our community. Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, Tuesday night, November 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern for the latest updates and election results from critical races around the country. Black Star Network, the voice of Black America. Black-centered.
This week on The Other Side of Change.
Book bans, anti-intellectualism, and Trump's continued war on wisdom.
This is a coordinated backlash to progress. At the end of the day, conservatives realized that they couldn't win a debate on facts. They started using our language against us, right? You remember when we were all woke and the woke movement and all that kind of stuff? Now everything is anti-woke, right? When we were talking about including diversity, equity, inclusion, and higher education, now it's anti-DEI. All this are efforts to suppress the truth because truth empowers people.
You're watching The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network.
In the military, I gave orders, and they went a lot further than they do around here. If there's one thing I've learned as a mom and foster parent of more kids than I can count, investing in their future isn't a choice. In Richmond, I'll fight for Stafford's fair share for our schools. Smaller class sizes, better teacher pay, and more vocational training.
I'm Stacey Carroll, and I'll fight to get our kids' future in order.
Hey, I'm Mark Morial, President and CEO of the National Urban League, and I'm watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back to New Light Baptist Church in Virginia Beach. Glad to be here. Just want to add a couple of things. You saw Brittany reading the story there regarding the donations made by billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. She also gave, we showed the graphic, she also gave $38 million. University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and a couple of hours ago, Clark Atlanta University announced that they have received $38 million from her as well. So her total donations to HBCUs has now exceeded $500 million. So Mackenzie, she invited to all the cookouts. I'm just saying. We'll even let her DJ. Just saying. All right, let's introduce our candidates for office. Put your hands together for Virgil Thornton, Mike Fagans, Sia Price, Alex Askew. All right, glad to have all of y'all here. And so let's talk about priorities. Priorities in terms of, well, first of all, when we do that, where are you running? So explain your where you're running.
It's running in the 95th District for the Virginia House of Delegates, which is Virginia Beach and parts of Norfolk.
I'm in the 85th District, which is where I was born and raised in Newport News, Virginia.
Proudly representing and running again in House District 97, fully within Virginia Beach.
Virgil Thornton, 86 House of Delegates, running for the, as part of Hampton, part of York County, and the entire city of Poquoson.
All right. So let's talk about priorities. What are your priorities if you're elected for your district?
Absolutely, and thank you for coming to Virginia Beach. We appreciate it. I knew you were here 2 years ago, and it really meant a lot. We were able to talk about our platform, and once we got to the General Assembly, we were able to execute a lot of things that we did. And you know, I'm running on, and what we've been working on the past couple of years is education, making sure our schools are fully funded, making sure our teachers are paid not only adequately, but better than adequately. We have one of the best school systems at Virginia Beach and across Hampton Roads, and also make sure our communities are safe from gun violence. You know, we see many times, and you turn on the news, you see young folks younger than 20 years old getting shot and killed, so making sure that guns are a little bit tougher to get, and make sure that there are extensive background checks on guns. And then I know my colleagues are going to say a few more things, so I'll say those are our top two, but and I'll probably echo everything they say.
Cool.
Yeah, so for me, for the 85th District, first is voting rights, because if we don't have a vote, we can't work on the other stuff. And then in addition to what Alex mentioned with gun violence prevention, housing justice. So there is a bill that would rein in slumlords that are ravaging the city of Newport News and some of our neglected properties. And the governor that we have currently has vetoed that bill 3 times.
Wow.
So I will be extremely excited to take that back to Richmond with Governor Spanberger, who will sign it, and we can protect our tenants.
So one of the biggest issues, not just within House District 97, but across the Commonwealth right now, is affordability. And especially, and you touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of housing. And unfortunately, during our last session, we passed some great legislation, especially around first-time homeowners. Unfortunately, though, those bills were vetoed by our governor, so that's going to be one of our first focus, is going back and looking at that. We know that not just across Commonwealth, but specifically within the African-American community, we know how important home ownership is in terms of growing generational wealth. Next is going to be veterans and military families. During this last session, I provided some of the first tax cuts for military families, but there's still areas that we need to look into. And third is going to be growing our small business, and especially within our offshore wind. Once again, we had a great bill that was passed that not only focused on growing our offshore wind and our energy here, but also made sure to bring in our HBCUs. And we've been really intentional, and that's one of the great things that you got to see within our caucus was the importance of having delegates, senators that are being intentional. We've been intentional about making sure we're getting resources to HBCUs. Unfortunately, again, that bill was vetoed by the governor, and I'm looking forward to seeing when we have our future governor, Abigail Spanberger, in office supporting our great legislation.
And my trifecta in going to the General Assembly is based on fully funding our schools, because our teachers in my district are paid less than the national average, so we want to get that teacher's pay up. Also having the resources in place for our kids. Because as a foster parent for special needs children, I just can't sit back and see how the Department of Education is just being dismantled and how it's going to affect them. And it's going to affect them in a really big way if no one stands up and have their voice and have their back. And also in healthcare. Healthcare is also real dear to me because I'm a cancer survivor of colon cancer, and it almost bankrupted me. So I know how important it is to be healthy and have a healthy society, and not having the proper access to quality health care can bankrupt anyone. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, our economy. In my district, looking at Hampton, York, and Poquoson, we need to bring more businesses in, and bringing those businesses in will give us the tax dollars we need to help our communities be more viable. So I kind of look at it as a triangle. No society or no community can thrive without those 3 things. The education, health, and based on economy as the base of all that.
When we talk about public safety, oftentimes, and I've seen this all across the country, it is a conversation of we need to give more money to hire more police officers, more training, give cops the tools to fight crime. Last week, and I've had him on several times, I was talking to Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott, and he talked about how they brought murders down to a 50, 60-year low. He talked about how they brought violent crime down. And they didn't do that all by sending resources to police to hire more cops. They took a much more broader, focused, laser-like effort to deal with crime. Because he said, listen, if you don't deal with housing, you can't deal with crime. If you don't deal with education, you can't deal with crime. If you don't deal with jobs, you can't deal with crime. If you don't deal with lack of food and nutrition, you can't deal with crime. And so how are you looking at, when you're talking about going to Richmond, how are you looking at this idea of public safety from a 360-degree view?
Yeah, if I could go, I'll just, I've been in the House for 10 years, and I was there when the Democrats were in charge in 2020, and the first investment for Virginia into gun violence prevention was $5 million. But my dad was mayor at the time, and the program that was working in Newport News cost $2 million just for one city. So we were able to get the $5 million, but it did get ravaged when the Republicans took control, and they changed it from gun violence prevention to this, my words, sham of a program called Operation Ceasefire. And so you think it's about gun violence prevention, but they funded the current AG for more prosecutions, and then places like Powhatan County were able to take funding from that for their schools, and they don't even have a gun violence problem. So one of the important things about having the Democratic majority and also a large Black caucus that represents some of the areas that don't have to be convinced that our communities are worth saving, we have now gotten to historic levels of funding community organizations that are actually the boots on the ground that are changing the trajectories. If you'll know, just very quickly, President Biden had the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and they were doing lots of funding. That funding is now shut down under President Trump.
Yeah, because they called it DEI.
So we need a governor who understands that we need a secretary of public safety and a secretary of education and a secretary of health that understand the worth and value of Black lives and that we are worth saving.
And one of the important things that we've tried to do during this past session is I serve on the Public Safety Committee, and we had a great big initiative in terms of looking at how we're properly storing our guns within our homes and within our vehicles. And a lot of times the other side try to utilize Democrats as if like we're fully against firearms. I'm a responsible firearm owner. I grew up hunting here in Virginia. I served in the military for 20 years. I own firearms and responsibly. And for those that do that, it is a right and a privilege to be able to own one and to take care of it properly. But when you're talking to our police and we're hearing from our chiefs and our sheriffs, they're coming to us, telling us, saying that, hey, many of the crimes that are being committed right now are being committed by stolen firearms taken away from vehicles. And when we try to have legislation that goes forward with that, and it goes forward to the governor's desk, maybe due to the gun lobby lobbying them or not, we're not able to get that. So that's one of the things we're going to be looking at next year, is bringing back those ways to be able to help out our communities, because we know a lot of those firearms are being used in those type of incidents where if they were properly stored, those crimes could be reduced.
Well, that's why it's crazy to me when you have all across the country, you have police chiefs and sheriffs who are saying, I need you to do something about gun laws, and the Republican response is, oh, we're just going to make it a lot easier to have guns. I mean, they are going against law enforcement, and they claim to say they support law enforcement. That's just, to me, that's an oxymoron.
They're too afraid of NRA and what grade they're going to get.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So, I mean, it's just crazy. Let's talk about affordability. That's been bandied about a lot. housing, we talked about a little bit earlier. What other areas of affordability for everyday Virginians are you focusing on? I'll start on the end. Yep. You're the end.
Affordability.
Do you need Ken to tell you to go? I forget nothing, Ken. Go ahead.
As far as repurposing some of the structures that we already have, that as far as looking at buildings and seeing what we can do as far as getting with the local city council and things of that nature to see how we can repurpose buildings that are already standing and make it more affordable housing versus having to tear down a building and then reconstruct one. Because again, when we're looking at the tariffs and how it's creating problems as far as building materials, it makes it more difficult. And that's one of the areas that I'd be looking into.
For me, is looking at going to be specifically in terms of healthcare. We had some great healthcare bills last year around, I don't know if you had got a chance to hear about this, the omnibus package that we had that was really focused on maternal care. Shouts out to our colleague, Delegate Candace Munda King, and the leadership that she had, Sia, so many others on this, and I'll be looking at bringing that back again next year. For my portion of that was the presumptive eligibility for pregnant women, seeing about how important it is to make sure that we're able to get the care that they need without having to have that red tape. So it's looking at removing those barriers of care, which is going to be able to help affordability for families that are women that are trying to grow their families.
I represent a district that has 45% of our population deals with SNAP benefits or Medicaid, and 61,000 people, including children in Newport News, were at risk of losing their SNAP benefits. So I can't really get beyond thinking that our children need to be fed and that people need their health care with Medicaid. Unfortunately, we do not have a clear picture of what is going to be happening in Virginia, and so I'm going to be paying close attention to the information that we'll get so that we can make sure that we backfill any Medicaid cuts that we can, make really tough decisions, but we've got to start with feeding the children.
And not only food, but prescription drug costs. We were the first, one of the first states in the South to put a cap on insulin in my first term. And I tried that with albuterol inhalers in my first term as well. Unfortunately, it didn't pass, but you know, Christmas tree bills aren't enough, right? We can't just do this prescription drug or that prescription drug. We need to work with the prescription drug board to really look at a holistic approach to bringing down costs. I know it's not going to be easy, and a lot of lobbying groups and different outside groups are kind of try to, you know, put a stop to that. But we got to do something because folks shouldn't have to determine and make decisions whether to put food at the table or buy life-saving prescription drugs.
Absolutely. We talked about, we were just talking about, obviously, those donations from Mackenzie Scott, but the reality is for state institutions, it's responsibility of the state to fund those schools. The Biden-Harris administration has sent out a letter that showed that upwards of $13 billion was withheld, I say stolen, from HBCUs, money that came from the federal government to the states for land-grant institutions. Virginia State was supposed to have received $277.5 million. And I get current investments, but if you are sent to Richmond, are you going to make sure that this state gives that money that they were owed, and there was a certain period from land-grant money, so separate from what they should be allocated, are you committed to make sure they get that $277.5 million they were cheated out of by Virginia lawmakers who sent that money to white PWIs and not to that HBCU?
So I'm a graduate of 3 HBCUs, so let me say this. The benefit of having a speaker, a president of the Senate, the leader of the House Democratic Caucus, and so many of us in the Black Caucus that have graduated from HBCUs, we know the value. What is unfortunate is all of the cuts that are coming from the federal level, we cannot sit here in good faith tell you what we promised to do because we gotta keep people alive. And we do not, at the state level, have the funding to backfill all of the tragic cuts that are being made at that federal level. But I will say, shout out to my Congressman, Bobby Scott, who is the ranking member from the 3rd Congressional District, and he is fighting on that federal level. So do we want to? Absolutely, but I'm not gonna lie to you. We are going to be trying to keep people alive for the next 3.5 years, and then we can get back to trying to backfill.
But let me be real clear. That money that should have gone to Virginia State went to other universities. Those universities built buildings, they put money into resources, and so that was money that came from the federal government, that came to Virginia, and Virginia purposely did not give that money to Virginia State. So I understand that point, but this state legislature owes that school for what they were cheated out of by the state of Virginia. I get it, I get it.
Previous legislators, and Roland, I do want to make this point. Since we've had the majority again, and shout out to Chairman Luke Torian, who's the chair of appropriations, we've given historic funding to our HBCUs, public and private.
I understand that. Follow me here.
And no, I understand.
Follow me here. I understand historic funding. I understand budget allocations. What I'm talking about was specifically that came from the federal government. Because here's the piece. Tennessee State was cheated out of $500 billion. Fort Valley State, Tennessee State has been having financial issues. Well, guess what? If they hadn't been cheated out of $500 million, they would have new dormitories and things along those lines. So what I'm saying is, and this is not calling it reparations or anything else, what I'm saying is, if that was money that came to Virginia, that went to University of Virginia, that went to Virginia Tech and somewhere else, well then this legislature should commit itself to say, we're going to right that wrong and make sure that that money is sent to them on top of whatever else goes to it. But there was some 20 HBCUs totaling $13 billion, and not one legislature has stepped up and said, we're gonna fix what was screwed over a 30-year period. Go ahead. Anybody? I'm always fight for the money.
No, but
we will too.
But this is the thing,
yeah.
and this is why elections are important, because we are running to be in the room. Where, be very clear, I am the 16th black woman to ever sit in those seats in 400 years. So we are trying to fix things that have been wrong for 400 years, and I'm just not gonna have, I'm not gonna have the usual political stance of lying to your face. I'm just telling you that yes, we absolutely believe that that money should be there, but because of uncertainties, we don't have $270 million sitting there, especially if we're going to have to deal with the federal cuts. So you don't have to worry about where our heart is. I just want people to understand that when you elect what you think is gonna be changed, when you get that change, understand what you're asking for, and right now with the federal cuts that we are seeing, with millions of Americans voted for, we are at a very difficult situation. And I just want people to understand that is a true situation.
Totally understand. But in the words of Frank Lucas from American Gangster, I'm gonna get that money. And our responsibility is to put that pressure on, because too often, and look, first of all, listen, I've covered multiple aspects of government. I understand that. But government also has a way of finding money for stuff that they deem important. And I'm not just talking to black legislators. I'm also talking to white legislators as well. Because what I don't want us to always be the ones who are having to wait. And again, I'm telling you right now, I went to Tennessee and we were sitting there advocating for them. And the legislature was criticizing them for lack of facilities, knowing full well they owe them $500 million. And here's the deal, that was only the land grant part of the federal government. They still owed them another $250 million that came from the state. So, and I'm making this point because I also need, and I'm raising this and I'm pressing you on this, because the public also needs to understand that they cannot be silent. Part of this issue is that people tomorrow, when the polls close tomorrow, people are gonna say, okay, election's over, there we go. No, Tomorrow is the end of one process. Wednesday is the beginning of another. Wednesday is the day between November and swearing in January where I need black folks in this city and then other cities and states to say, here's our agenda. So when the inauguration comes and there's the parties, everything else, it's like, all right, when y'all get down to business, we're going to be showing up on your door saying, hey, we want this to happen. And I think we have to be very clear in establishing this city should be establishing. The folks in this audience should be saying, hey, we want this to happen. And I think we have to be very clear in establishing this city should be establishing. The folks in this audience should be saying, this is our agenda, our black agenda, what we want to come back. Because if you want to vote, it's called a return on investment. Go ahead.
But I want to push back one more time.
Go ahead.
I want to hear everything you're saying. But like Jay-Z said, Frank Lucas is cool, but I ain't trying to snitch. But I will tell the truth, right? We have provided historic funding. And I want you, and I know you've been there, you've been in Norfolk State, you've been in Virginia State, you've been to HBCUs around the Commonwealth, right? And they've had historic underfunding. It's been facilities, it's been everything. You go to some of our access colleges or PWIs, and that started in the 60s, and they were drastically more funded. You look at the building, you look at the infrastructure, but again, we have provided historic funding for our HBCUs with a black speaker and a black chairman of appropriations, and we will continue to do that work. I'm not going to sit here and make you that promise that we will and fund the land grant money, the back
Well, follow me here.
Do what we can.
But I want the audience to understand, and again, this is, and I've been covering this issue for more than 2 decades. HBCUs from the beginning were historically underfunded. So you have a funding mechanism that's from the state.
I get it.
So you have, one second. You have that lane. The other lane that you have are the land grant institutions where the money comes from the federal government. And so when that money came from the federal government to Virginia was like, great, it's going here. So the land grant school, the HBCU, was making do best they could while their money was going over there. So what I'm saying is, so Virginia has 2 roles. It needs to fund what it's supposed to on the state level, but also pay up what came from the federal. Because, and I know you hear me. I need them to hear me, because that pressure has to be applied, because it's not just Virginia State. That then goes to neighborhoods. That then goes to infrastructure in schools. And so what we have to be doing as regular ordinary people is using our power after the election to, when you have appropriation meetings and when you have committee meetings, what I have been saying, I need our folks showing up saying, hey, you came to my church, you came to my neighborhood, now I need to see this thing happen, but not just you. It also means going to the other folks, the state senators, other reps saying, we expect you to vote for this. Going to other Democrats saying, we put you in charge. You now have power because of us. And all too often what happens is when we put folks in, not just African Americans, when we put Democrats in, the ROI is not there. And what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for 30 cents on the dollar. I'm not looking for 60 cents on the dollar. I'm looking for 100 cents on the dollar. Now, if I get 90, I'm gonna still come back for that 10 cents. But that's why I'm pressing like this, because I don't want us to be in the position of accepting less. I want to get everything that we owed.
So if I could add.
So y'all got some work to do as a community as well. Go ahead.
So starting,
and then other 2.
Starting the 2nd Wednesday of January, Monday through Friday, we are at 201 North 9th Street in Richmond. We also, because of the speaker that we have HOD Speak. So in any of my committee meetings, any of the House committee meetings, you can be in the comfort of your home or the comfort of your office and do online testimony. You can also submit written public testimony and not even have to speak, but send it in through the website. That is hodspeak.house.virginia.gov.
I want y'all to do all of that, but I want you to show up in person. Because again, Again, I'm trying, listen, I covered city government, I covered county government, I've covered state government, I've covered federal government. I know for a fact, when people show up, their presence has a different effect in the room than being online. And when they gotta look out, and let's be clear, you alpha, you knew, right? You just became an alpha. And you an alpha. You Greek? I'm an AKA. You AKA? All right, you independent. Gotcha. That's fine. But I spoke to the National Panhellenic Council, gave the keynote speech on Friday. And what I said is, Divine Nine, Prince Hall Mason, Eastern Star, Links, all those groups, when they roll in and the whole bunch of brothers in black and gold walk in, every legislator should be going, who them people? They need to be feeling our intensity, our pressure, because all too often, we go to Richmond, or we go to Austin, or we go to other state capitals, and we only go operating in the defense saying something's about to get cut. I want us playing offense. And that's why I'm saying this. Y'all go ahead.
Yeah. And so one of the important things we've talked about also is, Sia touched on this, is we're gonna have to make extremely difficult decisions next year. Extremely. And unfortunately, because one of the things that happened, not just here in Virginia, not just in Texas, but in California, but across the nation right now, are the cuts. I served on the emergency committee to deal with basically the DOJ actions in Virginia. And each month we travel, each time we traveled around this Commonwealth. We went from Norfolk to Richmond to Southwest Virginia, Northern Virginia, and every single time we learned about how these cuts are not just hurting at the state level, but the local level. And there isn't a state in this nation that can deal with $500 million cuts in education, $1 billion cuts in Medicaid potentially, $500 million in transportation, and still provide the same type of results we normally provide. So next year is going to be about sustaining and making sure, but as you pointed out as well, we need advocates to come and push on us. They should. If you have an issue, come and talk to us. That is the most important thing you can do, is come to our office. We know that all of us, we're gonna be in committees, we have staff. You come and talk with us in person is very important, because you're able to convey exactly what's going on with you. But we're gonna be making those decisions next year, and we need to make sure that advocates especially, and one final thing, just this year, and part of our legislation, I had a piece on that was gonna be able to provide some of the offshore wind towards an HBCU. It was basically free. We couldn't even get the governor to sign that. And so that is what we've been fighting on, at least for me, for the past 2 years. I know Sia's been fighting for it for longer, that when we get there next year, we have a lot of hard decisions to make, but we do have to make sure that we're going to be pushing forward with those areas that need to be.
And again, I just want our people to understand, we are going to have to push. If Spanberger wins, she going to have to get pushed on some stuff. And so again, I just want us to understand that tomorrow, after tomorrow night, it's not, my person won. No, I need our folk ringing holy hell on our agenda, making it clear what the expectation are. And I'm all around the country. Look, Jesse Jackson Jr., he was in Congress, said this, they were like, Congressman, you going on Roland's show? He's like, what are we talking about? They were like, oh, y'all friends. He's like, no, let me be real clear. Roland gonna kick my behind. He said, we might be friends, but he's still gonna kick my behind. My position's always been clear. I'm putting pressure on everybody because I have an expectation. Look, the Obama people still can't stand me because I said, look, we didn't sit here and do all that voting, carrying all that water just to get a couple of things. I said, I had an expectation for more. And guess what? If we didn't get everything what we get, we still should be demanding more. I think for a lot of us, and I said this about Obama, a lot of us never left the inauguration parade. Everybody else left. We were just happy to see a first black family. We forgot he was the first, but he was the 44th. And a lot of us did not respond to him the way we should have as the 44th, because we kept being fixated on the first. And so I appreciate our black elected officials and others. My thing always is, I want maximum pressure to get maximum results, and you're supposed to get as much as you can while you can, because it ain't no guarantee Senator Lucas is going to be over the money in the Senate. No guarantee how long Don Scott's going to be Speaker of the House. And so you get as much as you can while you can.
Can I add one thing?
Go right ahead.
And I appreciate the fact that you highlighted Jay Jones, because one of the things that we know is that the states with Democratic attorneys general, they have been able to sue and win some of their money back.
Massachusetts, Illinois, Nevada, Minnesota. Yep, absolutely.
So when Virginia was missing because our current AG, Jason Miyares, is too busy at Trump rallies, we are leaving that money on the table.
Yep.
And so I wanted, like, everybody got to tap in. And so I am asking that everyone understand that Jay Jones is the one that will fight for our money.
Make it final thoughts. Make your final argument.
Yes, as far as the rainy day fund, of course, it can only go so far. But I also feel that, yes, we do need to be held accountable, because when we're held accountable, we perform better. Everyone does. That's why we have coaches. And the community need to hold us accountable, but also the community needs to be involved, because the community, the votes are what put us in power. But the votes are what can take people out of power.
Mm-hmm.
And the power is in the hands of the people. So when we work together, we can put that pressure on those who can make the decision and where those funds are being channeled. So we need to work together. And I believe in community and the strength of community. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who said, "No man or woman is an island unto himself or herself, but a part of the whole." That means we all work together for the good of all of us.
And when LBJ told King, "I don't have the power to do it," King said to his people, "Okay, we're going to go out and we're going to go get him some power." And that pressure is what put pressure on them. Mike?
One of the most important things that we've got to see over these past 2 years is the importance of, not just in terms of your vote, not just in terms of your advocacy, but the results. And the fact that my colleagues here, even with a Republican governor, even with a governor who vetoed many of our bills, we were still able to do outstanding work. Imagine what we can do when we have someone like Abigail Spanberger in office. Imagine what we can do when we have someone like an LG Hashmi. Imagine what we can do when we have someone like A.G. Jones, and a Senate and a House of Delegates taking care of the Commonwealth. So I'm excited about what we're about to be able to do over these next 2 years. And we're just getting started in terms of the investment in our community. And y'all should really be proud of not just the work that we have done, but we will do, but also continue to push on us to make sure that we're delivering.
See ya.
So, not sure if y'all know, but I'm gonna speak my mind wherever I am, and that is especially on the House floor. And most recently, I spoke my mind about the redistricting. All of the love that you all have shown me will mean absolutely nothing if we do not have a Democratic trifecta in order to push back on the Trump administration's power grabs. So it is real cool to cheer us on, but if that does not translate to votes in order for us to be in office, then we just had a party and not power. We have to exercise our power starting with the vote.
Yep, absolutely. Alex?
I know this is often overused, but I truly believe that this is one of the most important elections of our lifetime, right? I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I truly believe that this could start the blue wave across America. When we had the majority last time, we had the trifecta with Ralph Northam as our governor. We passed historic legislation. With CS help, we passed 45 days of early voting. We closed a lot of loopholes for gun shows and made it a lot harder to get weapons. You know, we made sure that women were protected and their reproductive rights were protected. And I promise my colleagues, once you take that majority and we have Abigail Spanberger as governor, we will continue to do that. We will not only fight for people in Hampton Roads, we will fight for folks across the Commonwealth. So, Brother Martin, I appreciate you having us here tonight and coming back to Virginia Beach and speaking to us about this all-important election.
Folks, put your hands together for Virgil Thornton, Mike Fagans, Sia Price, Alex Askew. Now, Alex, you knew this. You can't be dressing like a Sigma. That's a lot of blue you got on. I know No, Mike, you're going to pull him aside.
He's a neo. It's a
Yeah. How long you been Alpha?
About 8 months.
Dog. That's a lot of blue. I'm just saying.
You don't think I look good in blue?
I know we can wear all colors, but that's a lot of blue. I know you got the Alpha little wrist, but that's a lot of blue. Mike, Ken? I'm gonna need you to handle that, Ken. You said you brought him over in Alpha. I need you to do your work, Ken. All right, we're gonna close this out with some of what former President Barack Obama had to say on Saturday's rally in Norfolk.
You know, a lot of people have asked me lately whether I'm surprised by the direction the country's taken. And even though I am the hope and change guy, I try to be honest with them. So I say, yes, there are things I am worried about. I am worried about how quickly basic democratic rules and norms have been weakened. I'm worried about how willing Republicans in Congress have been to surrender their role as members of a co-equal branch of government, refusing to buck the president even when they know he's out of line. Even when a lot of them will privately admit that power is being abused in ways that will hurt their constituents and hurt the country. I worry about a Supreme Court that, so far at least, has shown no willingness to check this administration's excesses, even when those actions break legal precedent and seem to defy the bedrock principle that no one is above the law. I worry about the growing concentration of economic power in this country, with just a handful of mega billionaires and companies controlling what we see and what we hear. And I worry about how much that economic power distorts the political process. I worry about how readily not just business leaders, but others with influence in law firms and universities have been willing to bend the knee to this president's autocratic impulses to avoid retribution or protect profits or simply to avoid controversy. And I worry sometimes how we've come to accept this as normal. But what I also tell people when they ask me about this, what I also try to remind them, is that America's always had competing stories about who we are and what this nation stands for. The first story says, we the people, just means some of us. That in order to qualify, you have to be the right color, or come from the right family, or worship in the right way, or have enough money. It says that even though we got rid of a king, there's still a caste system in America, a pecking order of who makes decisions and who obeys, who gets opportunity and who is obliged to serve. And it's a story that's policed by fear and force, that tries to convince people that for their group to win, another group has to lose. That if somebody doesn't look like you or think like you or practice religion exactly the same way you do, they must be a threat to your way of life, and they need to be put in their place. And that's how Donald Trump thinks about America. Make America great again by putting the people like him back in charge, even if they don't know what the hell they're doing.
All All right, folks, that is it. We are done. This is the 5th show that we have done in Virginia focused on this election. Again, tomorrow is Election Day, November 4th. Polls open at what time? 6 a.m. Close at what time? 7 p.m. That's in Virginia, folks. Now, keep in mind, other parts of the country, you've got elections taking place. Check to see what's happening in your city, in your state. There are going to be city elections, school board elections, DA races, state Supreme Court, Public Service Commission in Georgia. You got propositions on the ballots in different states all across the country. And so let's maximize our power. I've said this consistently, that in too many places where African Americans are, we are voting at 32, 35, 40, 45, 50% of our capacity. If we hit 70%, if we make 70% our minimum goal, understand, if you got 50,000 people, 50,000 African Americans, and 25,000 of them vote, that's 50%. But it's a whole different ball game if you hit 70%, 80%. And do understand, we complain about stuff all the time. People say they want change, they want new policies, but you cannot make any policy change if you don't change the politicians who are the ones who make the policy. So you've got to be willing to maximize the opportunity, and that's why your vote is critically important. And so make that phone call your friends, call your neighbors, call your family members, and say, are you going to the polls? Offer folks a ride to the poll in this state. Tomorrow's a holiday, correct? Yes. Election day, and so let's maximize our votes. And again, when we do that, we can literally change cities, states, and change this country, because too many of us are sitting out. And again, you can complain, you can tweet about it, post it on TikTok and Instagram, but if you are simply not voting and you say that you are checking out, then shut the hell up, because I don't want to hear you complain. So that's it for us, folks. Let me thank New Light Baptist Church. Let me thank the Virginia Black Caucus. We appreciate all the support with the show as well. And so tomorrow night, we are live at 8 p.m. For our election night special. We're the only black-owned outlet that will be live election show tomorrow night. Nobody else does what we do. We're going to have a jam-packed group of folks in our studio. We're going to have, of course, guests, Bishop Barber, Latasha Brown, Cliff Albright, of course, Glenda Carr from Higher Heights. We're going to have guests coming in all night, giving you actual live election results. Also, Brittany Noble is going to be live in Richmond from the Convention Center. She'll be doing interviews with various folks here in Virginia. And so we're going to have comprehensive coverage tomorrow night on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Tell everybody to spread the word. Y'all ain't got to waste y'all time watching CNN, because trust me, you ain't going to have, I saw Fox promo, ain't nobody black going to be on Fox. I think CNN threw in a couple of black dots. MSNBC may have a couple of people, but I can tell y'all right now, tomorrow night, Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network, will be the blackest political show you've ever seen. We got a black caterer. We got a black bartender. We're going to be blackity black tomorrow. So we're going to be talking about the stuff that matters to us. So y'all want to tune in, spread the word, live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. We're normally live at 6. I will not be live at 6 tomorrow, live at 8. Don't forget also support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute to our show, your dollar is important. We don't have millionaires and billionaires. The right wing, they are propping up a lot of folks, spending lots of money. And so your support matters to us. And so if you want to give me a Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here in the bottom left-hand corner. That's also for credit cards. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Xbox One, Samsung Smart TV. If you want to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Get them online. You can also get the audio version I read on Audible. Also, if you want to get our Black Star Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered shirts, swag, all that good stuff, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com. You can get it there. Also, all the products that you see right there on my news set back in D.C. You see backpacks, you see spices, you see relishes, You see hair care products. All of those products are Black-owned companies that we partner with. If you go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, you'll see all of those products. And don't forget that you can also download the social media app Fanbase. Download the app Fanbase. And of course, if you want to invest in Fanbase, go to startengine.com/Fanbase. They've already raised $13.5 million for the Series A raise. So only $3.5 million more. So if you want to be an equity owner, go to startengine.com/Fanbase. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. Pastor, thanks for all of your hospitality here. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla!